hallway of my childhood home. And I jumped in my dad's lap and I said, Daddy, how long will I be crazy? My mom gasped. My dad looked at me. He said, Sonia, you are not that. You are not that word. I guess I'll back it up a little bit further than that. It all started when I failed the first grade. At that point, my name became crazy, first grade flunky, and more that I dare not mention. I actually believed all those names that I was being called. But luckily, the thing about it is that growing up, I didn't care too much about myself. I thought the joys of life were just too good for me. I didn't even think I was gonna live past high school graduation. After that, I graduated from high school with no plans and no thoughts. The good thing about it, while I was in high school, we were required to complete college applications. One day after graduation that summer, I received a call from a friend, and she asked me, what time are you planning to arrive on campus tomorrow? And I said, and she yelled my name, Sonia! And I said, okay, let me go and ask my mom. So I ran up that infamous hallway again, and I went in my parents' room and I said, college starts tomorrow. And my mom said, what? I said, yeah. She says, how much does college cost, Sonia? I ran back up the hallway and grabbed the Grambling State University catalog, and I came back to show her the cost, and she looked at me and said, Lord, have mercy. She told me to get a purse, and my mom and dad wrote me a check to pay for my first year of college. I attended college still with no plans. I was just going day by day, because remember, I was supposed to die. The joys of life were just too good for me. So I just attended every day. My senior year, I walked in class, and I was the first person in class, and then people started walking in, and I asked my friend, I said, hey, why is everyone dressed up? Where are you guys coming from? She simply looked at me and turned around. So I decided to ask another friend, Rodney Hargrove. He said, there are companies on campus interviewing. Some of them are hiring on the spot. Your friend didn't tell you? She works in the College Career Center. I said, no. He said, wow. He said, I tell you what, here's a fax number. Why don't you just fax your resume? I said, okay. After class, I went to the computer lab and faxed my resume. That following weekend, I went home. And I walked through the kitchen, and as I walked through the kitchen, my mom said, Sonia, there are people trying to call the house, but they can't get through due to something called an anonymous call block. I want you to take that off my phone. So I took that off her phone and hung the phone up, and the distance between my room and the distance between the phone and my room were about 10 steps. So I started walking towards my room. The phone rang. I answered the phone. And it was someone on the other end asking to speak to me. He described himself as a hiring manager and that he wanted to invite me out to Atlanta for an interview. In excitement, I accepted. I told my parents they were excited. I called my friend, no words. I arrived at the airport. And mind you, this is back during the time where everyone can actually come back to the gate. My mom on the left, my dad on the right, and now it's time to board the plane. First time in an airport, first time on the airplane. When I walked on the airplane, my friend was on the plane. I said, hey, why didn't you tell me you were coming? She simply looked at me and turned around. So once we got landed in Atlanta and we exited the airport, I knew she was gonna be waiting on me because I knew both of us, it was our first time. There was no one. I was all alone in an airport. I didn't know which way to go. So I followed the crowd and ended up in baggage claim. There was a lady, as my soul whispered, and I walked up to her And I showed her my paper. And she said, I'm waiting on the same shuttle. How about you go one way, I go the other way, and we just make sure that the driver doesn't leave us. I said, okay. I get to the shuttle and I'm like, hey, we have to wait on this lady. There's a lady, we have to wait. And all of a sudden she goes, hey, we're waiting on you. We're waiting on you. So I walked and I sat next to her and we talked and laughed all the way to the hotel. Once we arrived at the hotel, she wished me luck. And she went her way, I went my way. The next day, unbeknownst to me, I walked into the room and it was Sylvia Casey, the same lady that I had met in the airport and I had rode to the hotel with. I started laughing, she started laughing, we talked and talked and talked, and I told her at that point, I don't know how many positions you have, but this job right here, this is my job. Yeah, this is mine. I claim it. 2 weeks later, Sylvia Casey called me and she offered me a job as a software engineer with IBM. Well, I worked that job for 17 years. And in that career, I've had the opportunity to travel the world. I've gone from coffee shops in Amsterdam, sipping tea on the Thames River while I used both pinkies. I visited Stonehenge. I visited the beautiful hilltops of Azizi. I've been on the red carpet for the Grammys and the BET Awards. And not only that, but to mention Henry VIII's Palace at Hampton Court. The best thing of all, I had the opportunity to go back to Ghana, where I walked back through the door of no return. Not just for me, but for my mother, for my father, for my grandfather, for my grandmother, for my great-great-grandfather, for my great-great-grandfather, and I kicked the door in as I walked back through. Where they were once stolen from their home. The land of gold, the land of kings and queens, where I was then renamed in my father's tongue. I was born on a Thursday as Yah Asachawa. For years, my friend continued to haunt me, to tell me that I stole her job. Other friends, they told me that they were envious and that if they had my life, they would throw theirs away, not even considering what I was going through at that time. I had a therapist once tell me, you should be happy. You should be happy. You only have first world problems. I never saw her again. But what I've learned in my 27-year career is the term friendship can take many turns. I've learned that networking is not the key, but networking followed up by cultivating those relationships and never burning bridges is the golden key. I've learned to speak through action. I've learned to speak my actions to the right audience. I learned to march and walk by the beat of my own drum. I created my own identity. In my 27-year career, what I've learned is that my dad was right. I am not that word. I am blessed. I am molded. I am shaped. And my soul just whispered to me that again today, I just woke up.
All right. Wow. Okay, let's give a big hand to our next performer, Susan.